I was all excited, just finished packing up my things for the long-awaited trip with my daughter, when my phone buzzed. The message that popped up unexpectedly informed me I was out of the Italy vacation plans. Apparently, my son-in-law decided it should be a just family thing, so they headed off with his folks and left me behind. Funny thing was, I just paid for their new house. I was so mad I stopped the mortgage payments and put the house up for sale. You won't believe what happened when they came back from their holiday. So there I was, in my room, folding the shirt I love to travel with, when another text buzzed. I felt that blue shirt in my hands, already imagining myself wearing it at this cozy restaurant near the Vatican that Celeste mentioned. My suitcase lay open on the bed, halfway filled with clothes specially picked for our trip. The weather forecast showed perfect sunny days in Rome, ideal for those walking tours I'd planned and printed out, neatly stashed in my carry-on. I was torn between choosing my stylish leather shoes and comfy sneakers, humming to Sinatra, with plane tickets set for the Leonardo da Vinci Airport, and my passport ready on the nightstand, all packed with 4 hours until takeoff. That pre-trip excitement was real, all mixed up with some jitters. Then my phone buzzed again, Celeste's name on the screen. I set the shirt aside and picked up my phone, expecting details like flight info or a meetup at the airport. But the message hit me like a punch. Celeste informed me I was no longer going. Her husband wanted it just family. I reread it over and over, thumb frozen, hoping it'd magically say something else. I was still clinging to the sweater I forgot to fold, my mind struggling with the meaning. Just family. But I was family. I'd planned every detail of this trip, bought the tickets, researched restaurants, and spent nights plotting out our itinerary. Just family didn't fit right when I'd been part of the plan from the start. I sank onto the bed beside my suitcase, hands shaking a bit as I typed back the only thing that came to mind. Okay. The disappointment sat heavy on my heart. In the room, reminders of the now canceled trip were everywhere. Toiletries lined up ready to go, guidebooks packed with notes on all our stops, and the new camera I splurged on still in its box. I slowly closed the suitcase, clicking each clasp with intent, the sound echoing like a sad farewell. With a heavy heart, I called the airline, enduring that dreadful hold music until I got someone on the line. I canceled my flight. The woman on the other end was kind, handling it smoothly. She gently said, "I'm sorry your plans changed, Mr. Brennan." I couldn't help but wonder if she heard the disappointment in my voice. After the call, I wandered back into the living room, staring blankly at the travel brochures scattered on the coffee table. The house felt emptier than usual, a silence so deep it was almost ringing in my ears. Outside, the barking of Mrs. Holloway's dog punctuated the quiet of the neighborhood. I picked up a glossy brochure on Roman architecture and placed it next to my chair. It felt like a small but significant action as I tried to accept being cut out from their trip. When night fell, that same strange silence seemed to blanket the house. I moved around like a zombie, leaving dirty dishes in the sink, which was so unlike me. That packed suitcase by my bedroom door was a constant reminder of the journey that would never happen. The TV was on, blaring some news program I had absolutely zero interest in. I was feeling jumpy, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, looking for anything to distract me from this gnawing emptiness inside. My finger mindlessly skimmed through Facebook, dodging Mrs. Fairbanks' endless stream of cat pics and my book club's latest recipe shares. Steering clear from any political rants, too. Even the soft glow of my phone felt oddly reassuring as darkness settled in. Then it caught my eye. Darian's parents, grinning like tourists who'd struck gold with their photo spot, were right in front of the Coliseum. The caption read, "Starting off the best family vacation ever," posted just a couple of hours ago. My thumb came to a standstill. Was this an entirely new trip or just an old snap they decided to toss up online? My heart was beating a little faster as I tapped to see the rest. There they were. Darian's parents, Darian and Celeste, all cozied up outside a Roman cafe near the Trevi Fountain, wine glasses decorating the scene behind them. Celeste's message nearly knocked the breath right out of me. So grateful for family time in the eternal city. Counting the faces, 1, 2, 3, 4, the word family burned into my mind like a brand. I dropped my phone back onto the coffee table, their smiling faces still staring back at me. I paced over to the kitchen window, peeking out at the neighbor's house where warm lights glowed invitingly from the windows. Families united, spending the evening together. Each wave of betrayal hit me, heavier than the last, crashing over me in relentless succession. Desperate to prove myself wrong, I picked up the phone again, hoping this time I'd see something different. But nothing had changed. Same happy faces, new timestamps to confirm it was all recent. There they were, those four, enjoying the city I'd dream of visiting, savoring the vacation I meticulously crafted, following the itinerary I poured hours into compiling. My kitchen window reflected a tired, pale face back at me, dark shadows sinking deep under my eyes. I stared at the picture on my phone, illuminated by their joy as I stood there, isolated. The separation between us was painfully clear, a snapshot of how out of place I was in their definition of family. I barely slept, tossing and turning in bed, images of their holiday flashing in my mind every time my eyes closed. As the gray morning light crept through the curtains, I realized I couldn't just let this one slide. I needed some answers. Holding on to my coffee cup with slightly trembling hands, I parked myself at the kitchen table, mentally running through what I planned to say to Celeste. I'd timed it perfectly. Mid-afternoon in Rome, ideal for a call. Taking a deep breath, I punched in her number and listened to the unique international ringtone. It went on a few times before her bright, upbeat voice chimed in. "Hey there, Dad." I could hear the vibrant buzz of the city, Darian's voice, the hustle and bustle of Rome, in the background. "I've got to know something," I jumped in, cutting straight to the chase. "What's up?" she answered, sounding a bit distracted, maybe taken in by the sightseeing or something shimmering in a shop window. "I caught those photos on Facebook," I said. "Darian's folks are right there with you." A pause dragged on, and when she finally spoke, her tone was defensive. "Dad, we can talk through this. We've got explanations. You said it was family only. Where do I fit in?" My voice was tight, strained. She fired back, her tone cooling. "Look, Darian figured you'd be a handful on this trip. He didn't want to deal with problems." It was a gut punch. Being a handful. I put this trip together. I got the tickets. "And Darian's folks paid their share. They're fine on their own," she added, her words heavy, casting blame. "I've stood by and supported you all along the way," I remarked. "When it suited you," she retorted. "We didn't ask for your guilt trips." In the background, Darian's laugh echoed, oblivious. "Honestly, Dad," Celeste kept on, her words slicing deeper. "Darian kind of had a point. You take up a lot of emotional space." Suddenly, my phone felt like it weighed a ton in my hand. "I understand now," I replied. "Good. We'll catch up when we're back," she said, finishing flatly. I ended the call without saying goodbye, placing the phone gingerly on the table. "Take up a lot of emotional space," echoed repeatedly in my head, like a haunting refrain. Overcome with a feeling I couldn't quite define, I found myself wandering into the home office where family photos covered the walls. There were pictures of me teaching Celeste to ride her bike, her college graduation, and on her wedding day when I proudly walked her down the aisle, all moments I'd completely misjudged. My fists tightened as I stood there, lost in these snapshots of a misguided past. One particular photo grabbed my attention. Me with baby Celeste, both of us beaming at the camera. In the glass, I saw my reflection as I am today, a little older, a bit tougher, with a coldness lurking in my eyes. I reached out to gently adjust the crooked frame, trying to fix more than just that picture. Remaining in my office after that phone call, surrounded by what was supposed to be evidence of love, the realization hit me. I was just a tool for convenience. Each picture on the wall told a story I was only now beginning to piece together. The wedding day shot, where I walked Celeste down the aisle. I handed over $42,000 just to ensure every last detail was perfect, all for that smile of hers. That graduation picture where she posed happily was also there. I had covered her student loans when Darian struggled to find work post-college. Scattered across my desk were photos of them searching for their dream home. I was forced to co-sign their mortgage as the banks wouldn't take them seriously. There were Christmas snapshots with a mountain of expensive gifts under the tree, all purchased by me. Birthday parties where my gift always seemed to be opened last, almost forgotten. As I went through these memories, a heavy weight settled on my chest, squeezing the breath out of me. I dug through my desk drawer for those bank statements and receipts I'd saved. The $95,000 for their house down payment had come straight from my retirement savings. That was money meant for my future. Then there were car payments I took on when Dorian lost his first job. Credit card bills I paid when they couldn't keep up with monthly payments. Vacations funds I intended for myself ended up funding their Italy trip. But it wasn't just about the dollars. I suddenly recalled every plan and dream I'd put on hold. This ran far deeper than money. That fishing trip with friends I canceled to babysit for Celeste. The dinner invite from a woman in my book club I declined to help Celeste with her move. Those trips I longed for kept getting postponed so theirs could flourish. Sunday dinners where Darian wouldn't even meet my gaze. Holidays where I felt like an outsider in my own home. So many little signs that I wasn't welcome, even though my financial support was. Now it was all so clear. I couldn't believe how blind I'd been. My hands trembled as I turned the photos face down. A phrase echoed in my mind. Too much attention. Finally, everything clicked into place. The distinction between being loved and being used was undeniable. They didn't want me in their lives, just my money. I jumped up from my chair, causing it to crash against the wall. In the mirror, I saw someone who'd let themselves be taken advantage of for far too long. Someone who mistook generosity for love and was repaid with deception. I flipped open my laptop, staring at the bank account Celeste and Darian had a hold on. My finger hovered over the trackpad. One click could change everything, but I didn't rush it. Some things demanded careful thought, not quick action. I sat there, surrounded by the deep quiet of my office. The closed laptop felt like a door I wasn't quite ready to open. The years of being used weighed heavily as I looked at those photos. My quiet house was still and silent. But then my phone buzzed with a new bank alert. I almost ignored it, thinking it was just spam, but something urged me to check. Account alert. Transaction processed. I anticipated maybe a utility bill. Instead, the details bowled me over. $892 at Il Convivio in Rome, Italy. Time stamped just 3 hours ago. Lunchtime for them. Celeste had swiped my emergency card, the one I'd given her years ago to help build credit. The irony cut deep. They'd left me out of their family vacation, but it was my money funding their upscale dinners. As I scrolled through the recent transactions, disbelief settled even deeper. Hotel bills, boutique purchases, tourist attractions, all charged to me while Darian's parents were supposed to be helping out. I paced around, phone in hand, each family photo now stained with betrayal. It became clearer than ever. This was my turning point. So there I was, staring at Celeste's name right there in the account settings. It had become a symbol for how my love and support had been twisted into something controlling. Another notification buzzed, showing a purchase, €127 for fancy clothes in Rome. She was out living it up while I was still wrapping my head around the betrayal. That was my breaking point. I opened the card management section, and there was Celeste's name again, staring back at me like a daring challenge. Her access to all this money all at my expense. Just as if on cue, another notification, €127 blown on who knows what in Rome. She was out shopping, just living her best life, while my world was crumbling. That did it for me. I hovered over the Remove User button. Years of selfless support suddenly seemed like foolishness. With my finger poised, a message popped up. "Are you sure? Can't undo this." I clicked yes, cutting her off just like that. For the first time in forever, I felt like I was regaining control. It was strange but felt damn good. Putting my phone down quietly, I caught a reflection of myself in its dark screen. A real smile sneaked up on my face, something I hadn't felt in days. Feeling more fired up than I had since that shocking text, I walked into the kitchen to brew some coffee. As the machine gurgled to life, the buzz of a lawnmower next door filled the air. Life was just going on, and I was ready to start a new chapter. The very next morning, I was at the table, savoring my coffee like I hadn't in a long while. The newspaper was open, and my phone suddenly started ringing frantically. It was an international number, 9 out a.m. here, 4 out p.m. over in Rome. I let it ring a couple of times, no rush to pick it up. "Morning, Celeste," I greeted, catching the sharp intake of her breath. "Dad, what happened to the card?" She jumped straight into it. "I yanked your account access," I replied. Her frustration was clear as day. "I tried paying for lunch, and the card got declined right in front of Darian's folks." So embarrassing. I took a casual sip of coffee. Sounds rough. Embarrassing? It was mortifying. "I need that card," she snapped. "Why, though?" I challenged back. "I thought you didn't want me babying you forever." Her voice rose. "That's different." "Is it, though?" I pressed. Silence lingered, then muffled voices on her end. Her tone sharpened. "Make this right, or there'll be fallout." "What fallout?" I asked calmly. "Darian and I have plans. We think it's time for you to look into care facilities when we're back." Her words were a slap, freezing me with my coffee halfway lifted. "Care facilities?" I echoed, dumbstruck. "Yeah, Dad. You're aging. You clearly can't handle finances. We'll sell your house to fund it. You don't need all that space." Darian's voice drifted from her side. "Tell him it's for his good," she said. In silence, their audacity washed over me. Shove me aside, cash in on my house, all because of a vacation hiccup. "Dad, hello. You're reactivating my card, right?" Her persistence was grating. "I caught all that," I confirmed. "Great. So you'll handle it?" "Nope." "What do you mean, no?" she demanded. "Just a hard no." "Enjoy your vacation," I stated, hanging up. I set the phone down, took a slow, deep sip of my coffee, and looked out at the yard I'd diligently maintained for nearly 30 years. This home, the one I built, was no quick sale to anyone. With resolve, I ditched my coffee halfway, heading to my study. I had work to do. From the filing cabinet, I pulled out the house deed, spreading it over my desk like a general with a map. But no, it wasn't my deed. It was the paperwork for Celeste and Darian's place over on Oak Avenue. Only my name was on it since I bought it. I remembered our chat 3 years ago. "Just for the loan, Dad. We'll switch it over soon," they had said. But they never got around to it. Always next month, next season, next year. Finding Kai Nakamura's business card in my drawer, the realtor behind both house deals, a man of discretion. Grabbing my keys, I was out the door. As I drove down the usual Cedar Falls lanes, I waved back at Mrs. Patterson while backing out. A sweet reminder of how ordinary things still were. In 20 minutes, I'd arrived at Nakamura Properties, housed in a newly spruced-up Victorian building. Kai glanced up from his screen as I walked in, genuinely happy to see me. "Hey, Fletcher. Long time no see. How's retired life treating you?" I didn't waste any time and got to the point. "I need to sell the house on Oak Avenue quickly." His experienced eyes gave me a once-over. "Celeste's place, right? Everything cool?" I nodded. "All good, just gotta sell it. How's the market doing?" Kai turned back to his computer and quickly checked the latest sales data. "Market's pretty hot right now. In that area, you could get around $210,000 to $215,000. That sounded pretty good to me since I'd bought it for $148,000 just 3 years ago. "So how fast do you think we can sell it?" I pressed on. "Let's get it sold fast." Kai smoothly pulled out the listing and inspection paperwork. "We'll need some good photos and maybe a bit of staging. My team can swing by tomorrow." But I reminded him that people were still living there. "Is Celeste handling the showings?" he asked. "She's in Italy at the moment," I mentioned, "but I've got the keys." Kai seemed a bit surprised but stayed professional as we hashed out the listing price, commissions, and the closing timeline. I confidently signed the listing contract, making my decision clear. I'll kick off the marketing right away, Kai promised. In this hot market, we could get offers in a matter of days. We shook hands and I appreciated his minimal questioning. As I headed to my car, a wave of relief swept over me, something I hadn't felt in a long while. With classical music playing on the radio, I leisurely drove through downtown Cedar Falls, seeing my hometown in a new light. Stopping at a red light, I spotted a young family crossing, a dad holding a little one, and a mom with a stroller. It took me back to when Celeste was that age, before life turned into a constant race for money and fulfilling expectations, before I became more about what I provided than who I was. Arriving home, I took a moment in the driveway, looking at our mailbox with Brennan fading on it. It felt significant again, like it mattered. Inside, I jangled my keys, sensing more changes on the horizon. I opened my laptop and an email popped up, confirming that the house was officially listed. It felt like an achievement, but there was still work to be done. I opened another tab, looking for moving companies in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Ignoring the big corporate chains, I searched for something trustworthy. I stumbled upon Brent's Reliable Moving, a small family-run business with 12 years under its belt and solid reviews. Just the kind of operation where you talk to the owner, not some distant call center. I dialed the number, expecting just that. "Brent's Moving. This is Brent," came the straightforward response, no corporate fluff involved. "I need help with a move tomorrow. It's urgent," I explained. "What's the schedule?" he asked. "Tomorrow morning would be perfect. It's a whole house full of stuff." "Where are we moving from and to?" Brent asked. I gave him Celeste's address, mentioning we needed to move everything into storage. "Have you lined up a storage unit yet?" he asked. I realized I hadn't gotten to that. "I know Safekeep Storage on Pine Street is reliable," Brent suggested. "Need their contact info?" Before long, I had Iris from Safekeep on the line with us, sorting out the details. "A whole house needs about a 10 Shores 20 unit, Brent advised. "First month's $135, Iris chimed in. "Sounds good. Can someone meet us there tomorrow?" With Brent, we finalized the moving details. "I'll have a truck and 2 guys there. We can start at 8:15 a.m. Could I get that address again?" He noted down Celeste's place on Oak Avenue, and I added, "The family staying there is out of town. I'd like us to wrap up before they return." "Got it. Family stuff," Brent said with understanding, like someone who's been through this a lot. "Exactly. Thanks for getting it." After making a few calls and completing the online payment for the storage, I felt like I was finally ready to take on dinner. It was the first time in days that I actually had an appetite. I set my alarm for 6:30 in the morning, a bit earlier than I usually do, and laid out my work clothes, those reliable old jeans and boots from back when I worked as a contractor, before life became more about paying for dreams than living them. I sat down to watch the evening news, feeling more connected and interested than I had been in quite a while. The forecast said tomorrow would be clear, which was perfect for the moving day ahead. Everything seemed to slide into place without a hitch. Before heading off to sleep, I made sure my phone was charging on the nightstand next to a glass of water. As I brushed my teeth, I caught a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror and saw someone different, someone ready to take control and stop asking for approval. I rolled up to the property on Oak Avenue at around 7:45 a.m., just a bit early, like usual. The house felt both familiar and foreign. It was no longer my daughter's home, but just a place that needed clearing out. Brent's moving truck was already there, engine idling and sending little puffs of steam into the crisp morning air. Brent, a no-nonsense guy in his 50s who'd definitely seen the ups and downs in his line of work, stepped out as I arrived. My job was to steer clear of family drama, right? So there I was with Brent and his team. Brent, with a handshake like sandpaper, asked if I was ready to roll. As I unlocked the door with my spare key, the silence inside felt almost fitting. We tackled it room by room, with Brent evaluating the furniture and personal items like he was at an auction. 3, maybe 4 hours to get the larger items, Brent estimated, scribbling on his clipboard. I had to point out what belonged to Celeste and Darian, which essentially ended up being everything, including the fancy sectional sofa I gave them last Christmas, Darian's tech-filled office for gaming, and Celeste's sprawling wardrobe stretching across 2 walk-in closets. The young crew started diligently boxing up things from the bedroom with almost meticulous care. Despite Brent's reservations about the insurance risks, I insisted on joining in. I'm not past my prime yet, I remarked, eliciting a grin from one of the younger movers. Before long, I found myself carrying boxes labeled Celeste's books and Darian's sports gear, feeling a strange sense of fulfillment as their belongings got neatly packed away. In the closet, I stumbled upon their wedding photo albums and noticed how absent I was in most of the photos. Darian's family filled every page, while I was just on the periphery. I handed the album to Brent's crew and moved on. Each room revealed more of the lavish gifts I'd given and forgotten. Designer handbags, high-tech gadgets, the leather dining set from their first anniversary. My back complained, but the sense of purpose drove me on in a way I hadn't felt for ages. In the would-be nursery, I found baby furniture that remained unused, intended for grandkids that hadn't happened. For a fleeting moment, I wondered if I was being too harsh. Then I found Darian's eye-popping credit card statements. Turns out they'd been living large while pleading poverty, and any remaining doubt vanished. "You hanging in there, Mr. Brennan?" Brent asked, noticing my brief hesitation. "Just taking a trip down memory lane. Let's press on." By 11:45 that morning, we'd completed one last sweep through the now echoing house. The space seemed different, with the afternoon sunlight streaming through the bare windows. I locked up, pocketing the keys before following the moving truck to the storage facility, where their things disappeared into a unit labeled 52C. I paid Brent in cash, adding a good tip. He seemed sincere when he said, "I wish you all the best, Mr. Brennan." Alone in my car, as I swung into my garage, my phone started buzzing with a Facebook notification, shaking insistently in the cup holder, hinting that my calm morning was about to become a bit chaotic. Inside, I finally checked my phone and was met with a flood of Facebook alerts. Celeste had taken to ranting online, leaving heated comments. "Some folks really don't understand family privacy," she wrote, with her friends chiming in while she played the victim role to perfection. I closed the app without bothering to reply and dialed back Kai Nakamura. "Kai, you're not going to believe this," I said with a surge of excitement. "We've received an all-cash offer, and the buyers want to close fast." Apparently, a young couple fell in love with the area because of their new jobs. Kai took a dramatic pause, then added, "And guess what? They're offering $28,000 more than we expected." This was music to my ears. I asked, "So when do they want to make it official?" "They're ready to seal the deal immediately," Kai chimed in. "A deal could be done by this weekend. Today's Thursday, because they're eager to leave their corporate housing." Kai's energy was catching. "Think we can pull off a quick closing?" I asked. "Absolutely, I can have all the paperwork ready by tomorrow morning," he promised. I nodded. "Let's go for it." By Friday morning, I found myself at the title office, carefully signing off on all the documents. I met the buyers, Caspian and Nora Mercer, really nice folks in their 30s, who had that same spark Celeste and Darian used to have. As we walked through the empty house, Nora remarked, "We love what you've done with the garden." I didn't mention it wasn't really my handiwork. "It's just right," Caspian chimed in as he took the keys. Not long after, I got a notification on my phone, $28,000 over the original price, meaning a solid $192,000 profit after realtor fees. What started as a parent's gift turned into a lucrative venture. By Saturday morning, I decided to swing by the house one more time. When I arrived, there was a U-Haul in the driveway, with Caspian and Nora bustling about, full of energy that seemed to rub off on everyone. They were bringing in a baby crib to set up for their new life. It was a lovely sight, seeing a home with a history of ups and downs being embraced by fresh, hopeful beginnings. I was parked across the street, watching as Nora put flowers in the garden and Caspian set up a swing set. Just then, my phone rang, an international call, right as a taxi pulled up across the street. The timing was eerie. Celeste stepped out first, looking a bit weary but quickly sharp as she took in the scene. Darian was settling the cab fare, and his expression turned from puzzled to shocked when he saw the moving truck and unfamiliar faces at what he thought was his place. Hey, what's happening here? Darian's voice aimed at Nora, who paused her flower planting, curiosity clear on her face. Why are you in our house? Caspian appeared at the door with some important-looking papers. Your house? I think there's been a misunderstanding. As the situation unfolded, I stepped out of my car, carrying the calm I'd learned from years of handling projects. I had an envelope ready in my jacket. Celeste noticed me. Her expression shifted from confused to knowing to furious in seconds. Dad, what on earth is going on? Why are there strangers moving in? Her voice was sharp, with that tone I'd grown used to. Caspian and Nora exchanged glanced uncomfortable, caught in someone else's drama, with Nora still holding her gardening trowel defensively. Who are you anyway? Darian pressed Caspian, his voice getting edgier. You need to pack your things and go. Now. Caspian held up the documents. Here's the deed. We finalized everything just yesterday. This can't be happening. This is our house, Darian insisted. Nora, though softly spoken, was firm. Maybe it's time to call the police, she suggested cautiously. I interjected, letting my practiced calmness enter my voice. There's no need for that. Celeste, bristling with frustration, demanded, Dad, you've got to fix this. I turned to Caspian and Nora first, aware that they didn't deserve this confusion. I apologize for this mix-up. Please continue making yourselves at home. Then I faced Celeste and Darian, keeping my voice steady. I sold the place. It was mine, not yours. Darian's face flushed with anger. What do you mean it's yours? That's not possible. If you check the original deed, you'll see it was never actually in your names, I clarified patiently. Celeste's voice shot up to a screeching high note. You can't just sell our house like that. Calmly, I replied, I sold my land. Didn't do anything wrong. We're going to sue you. This is stealing, Darian practically screamed, his face getting redder with every syllable. I just shrugged. And where's the money for that going to come from? Didn't you max out those cards on your trip to Rome? Caspian leaned toward Nora, whispered something, and the two of them made their way inside their new home. Home that used to be Celeste and Darian's, and not anymore. I sighed and said, seriously, just go inside and move on. This isn't your mess. Celeste sounded all panicked, like she used to when things didn't swing her way as a kid. Where do we go now? What about our things? I passed them the envelope I was holding, and Darian snatched it, ripping it open in anger. His voice sounded shocked as he read it out loud. Safekeep Storage, Unit 52C, Pine Street. You could hear Celeste's voice crack. Storage? You took our entire life and shoved it into a storage unit? I'd made sure everything was secure, and I'd even paid for the first month. Darian crumpled the paper like it was some sort of joke. This is crazy, he shouted. You can't just do this to your own family. I shot back. True family doesn't ice out their dad from getaways and call him needy. That's something else altogether. Darian tried to get in my face, pulling that bully from the playground move. We'll see you in court. Dispute this completely. I kept my cool. Everything's by the book. The house was mine from the beginning. Celeste changed her approach, using that fake sweet voice she'd honed since childhood to get what she wanted. How can you be so cold to your own daughter? I paused, looking at her. How could you treat your dad the way you did? Then Nora stepped out, looking worried. Everything all right out here? She asked. All good, I answered with a grin. Hope you two enjoy your beautiful new place. Celeste and Darian just stood there, fancy bags in hand, looking like tourists who wandered into the wrong plot. I turned back to my car, feet steady on the ground. This isn't over, old man, Darian yelled as I reached the car. I started the engine. The classical music picked back up smoothly. But yes, it was entirely over. Fast forward 3 months, I was enjoying my coffee and reading the paper when the doorbell rang. A process server handed me the lawsuit papers that Celeste and Darian had filed. Not surprised, I accepted them. Later that day, I found myself in the kitchen again, reading the court's decision. Case dismissed. The property was clearly mine. The judge had looked it over and knocked back their claims. Now they'd have to deal with their own hefty legal tab. My lawyer called an hour after the verdict, saying, "Total win, Fletcher. They've got zero to appeal on." A local paper even featured a brief piece about it. Family property feud ends. I stuck all the documents into a folder labeled Legal Victory, then got back to my routine as if this was all just another day at the office. The town had been buzzing about it for ages. Snippets floated around when I went for coffee. "That son-in-law always felt a tad entitled," one voice said. Others piped up, "Fletcher Brennan busted his chops to build that life. Look how he got burned by those two." People grumbled about how families should be united no matter what. But I learned how to let those comments slide off, like water off a duck's back. A few days later, I ran into Kai Nakamura at the hardware store, and he asked how I was holding up after all that drama. Honestly, I was doing way better than I ever imagined. That afternoon, I wandered into a pet store I had been eyeing for some time. There I found Ranger, a 3-year-old golden retriever who needed a home because his family was relocating overseas. The shop owner mentioned that Ranger was a family dog who adored people and loved car rides. When I squatted down, Ranger happily trotted over with his tail wagging, as if he'd been waiting just for me. We bonded instantly. He seemed to understand my loneliness, and I could tell he needed someone who wouldn't leave him behind. An hour later, we were on the road, Ranger sitting in the passenger seat with his head out the window, both of us venturing into uncharted territory. That night, Ranger slept by my bed, and for the first time in a long while, neither of us felt alone. With him at my feet, I began browsing online for travel trailers, searching best RVs for senior travel, and learning all about freedom and new adventures. At RV Lots, the sales staff were more than happy to help. I fell in love with a 28-foot Airstream. It was ideal for me and a dog who claimed the passenger seat even before I'd signed any paperwork. I sold my second car and used my savings to buy it outright. Ranger took to life on the road immediately. We planned our trip, exploring national parks, visiting charming towns, seeing all the places I longed to visit, but always put off due to family obligations. When we finally left Cedar Falls, the house was prepped for my long absence. I arranged for the mail to be held and had some neighbors watching over the property. While packing the trailer, I brought camping gear, Ranger's essentials, and a single photo album with pictures of Celeste when she was just a little girl. Before time and life brought us disappointment, Ranger seemed to catch the thrill of the adventure, and his excitement rubbed off on me as I started the engine and checked the trailer hitch one last time. We drove through Cedar Falls one final time, passing familiar places that now felt smaller. On Oak Avenue, I noticed Caspian and Nora's kids playing joyfully in the yard. The house now had the happiness it was always meant to have. The highway sign said, "Montana, 850 miles." Ranger had his head out the window, and I held onto the wheel tight. We had finally found freedom. That evening, we paused at a scenic overlook in Montana. I set up a camping chair as the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in colors of orange and purple I'd never really noticed before. Ranger lay contently beside me, loyal and calm, needing nothing more than my company. For the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be.